So can we trust our leaders? And what are the questions they are not answering, and why won't they answer them? Thank you for joining me. My name is Richard Markosian. I'm the editor-publisher of Utah Stories magazine. If you are new to Utah Stories, thank you for joining us. We've gained a lot of followers recently, which is very surprising. We've not been a favorite of the YouTube algorithm. We've been doing great on Instagram, but we're happy that we've got a lot more YouTube followers now. Thanks to our stories and coverage of police corruption in Utah. If you didn't check out that video, I highly suggest you go check it out. We got over 500 comments on our police corruption story. There were allegations of police corruption 10 years ago that we covered. That really kind of got Utah Stories going. And we were covering it when all the other local media stopped covering it. All the other local media stopped answering the tough questions of the leaders in Utah who were not scrutinizing why what appeared to be such blatant corruption continued to happen again and again and again in the city of Cottonwood Heights, a newly minted city at the time when we covered it, and why this brand new police force under a brand new city seemed to just have be arresting people, giving out DUIs, and blatantly going after motorists who were coming out of one particular parking lot with absolute impunity, as if they own the city and now this is our little fiefdom here, and we are now going to persecute anybody who doesn't agree with our values. That's what allegedly was happening back then 10 years ago when we got Utah Stories off the ground. And I appreciate that revisiting that story got so much attention and so many comments, and we've gotten bombarded with your stories of corruption and abuse here in Utah. And I'm happy to see that there are so many people who are concerned with this topic, because although we live in the Beehive State and the predominant religion here preaches Mormon family values, which I absolutely agree with, morality, which I absolutely agree with, small government, which I absolutely agree with, there are big problems when one single party controls all of government, as we see here. I believe that here on this program, I believe and I espouse to produce better dialogue. I think that the spirit of good democracy is good debate and understanding both sides to issues and having point and counterpoint, teaching people to use their critical thinking skills to arrive at better policy and better decision making outside of tribal politics. So that's what you get here at Utah Stories. If you like that mission, please hit that thumbs up button. That really makes all the difference in the world. I said that at the beginning of that police corruption video. I sometimes forget to say it, but if you hit that thumbs up button and smash the like button, it makes all the difference to how many people will see it. Like about 10 or 20 times more people will actually see our content and hopefully engage in civil discourse rather than uncivil tribalism. And that is what we want to promote here on this channel. With that said, let's dive right into our story. So we started covering this Kevin O'Leary data center story about 2 weeks ago. We just simply remixed something that was out there on Instagram already, a clip that I was honestly shocked by, and it turns out a lot of you were too. I'm going to start by playing this clip of how Utahns found out that the data center had essentially been thumbs upped by our leadership and it was going to happen. I'm going to play that clip for you now.
At Friday night. That's impossible to do. Nobody can do that. It usually takes 5 years. They got together, they worked it out, they made it attractive, and now all the hyperscalers are knocking on the door of Utah. Utah is the digital cavalry.
That's all good news.
Hi, I'm Kevin O'Leary. Most people don't know this, but the IRS may owe you money. IRS penalties.
What in the world? I got to play that. I got to back that up. Sorry.
And it's in Utah.
Okay, so here it is.
Huge new data center project, and it's in Utah.
Yep.
It's giant.
Yeah.
Are you involved in it?
Yes, I am. I'm the master developer there. I've worked with Governor Cox, Speaker Schultz, President Lee, and many others, or President Adams, I mean, and Lee, Senator Lee. They get the joke. They know.
Okay, pause right there. Did you hear what he just said? They get the joke. It's like, how gullible are our leaders that they get the joke? We're going to take your water, we're going to take your land, we're going to have this buzzing, obnoxious data center and plop it. And it's a rural area of Tremonton. We're going to plop it there, take 40,000 acres and just put it right there. We get the joke, right? No, we're not so stupid, Mr. O'Leary. So here's what I'm amazed by. Kevin O'Leary is a smart guy. I've actually I respect him. I've respected him. I think he is a good shark in the Shark Tank program. He recognizes opportunity when he sees it. He's not a dumb man, but how he rolled this out, the PR job he has done on this, it was so dumb. I mean, really, how can you come on a program like Fox Business and just spill the beans saying Utah leaders get the joke? Yeah, we're so gullible to just believe everything you have to say, and we didn't negotiate any kind of better deal. Like if for example, Utah leaders were the sharks and Kevin O'Leary is on Shark Tank presenting the data center idea to our leaders, who, imagine we had a leadership council of Governor Cox, Stuart Adams, and Mike Lee, and just say all the leaders of the data center who thinks it's a great idea. They're the sharks, and Kevin O'Leary's presenting the idea. What Kevin O'Leary would have to say is, guys, we're going to come in and we're going to take your water, take your land. We know you're spending $40 million on preserving the lake right now, but we're going to take it and you're going to get the joke. Would you think those leaders would just say, yes, let's finance that, let's go, let's move forward? No, I don't think our leaders are quite this dumb. I just don't think they are. I think that there is something else going on here. And obviously this was all passed beforehand, behind closed doors. Nobody knew that this center was being developed or proposed by MIDA. Did anybody hear about it? I mean, I certainly didn't. I read the paper every single day. But this pops up on Fox Business, and it's like it's a done deal. It's already done. And so everything that transpired after this with what Kevin O'Leary was doing. And by the way, this is a program where I'm presenting the questions that are unanswered by Kevin O'Leary and his cronies. And the first big question should be, who is actually financing this deal? This is a $40 billion project. Kevin O'Leary doesn't have $40 billion. I don't even think he's a billionaire. Obviously, this is for either Meta, or it's for Jeff Bezos and Amazon, or it's for Elon Musk, or it's for OpenAI. There are 7 of them. Who is actually financing it? Kevin O'Leary is only the front man. So that's question number 1. What major billionaire AI group is going to finance this data center, and who's benefiting from it? Okay, so let's move on. I want to show you another clip now. This is from, even the folks out at More Perfect Union got involved in making videos, content on this. Let's check out More Perfect Union's video on the data center. This is, of course, footage of the Tremonton meeting.
On Monday, hundreds of angry residents came out to express their opposition to Kevin O'Leary's proposed data center in Box Elder County, Utah, only to be told commissioners weren't taking comments.
Why won't they let people talk? Why won't they let us ask questions? From now on, I will tell you, you continue. I have law enforcement here who will remove you from the meeting.
Fed up with the resident uprising, the commissioners left the room to conduct the meeting virtually and promptly approved the project.
I would move for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion we approve Resolution 2612.
Okay, I want to pause it there. So we saw the approval of Measure 2612. There was no public comment. They, only thanks to one of the council members in Tremonton, was the vote delayed from the Friday to the Monday a week ago, or just a little over a week ago. And that one single council member said, wait, this is just going a little bit too fast here. Why don't we take a little bit of time and try to understand it? Apparently 2 days was enough, and he was ready to vote yes. But these Tremonton council members, don't attack them, don't threaten them. That is so stupid. These poor guys are just told by MITA, who were the actual decision makers, that this is done, that you have to vote yes. This is private property. Let's understand the law for a minute here. This is private property. This is private land. It is unzoned. It is 40,000 acres of private land with water rights that O'Leary's group has purchased. And it will be the largest data center in the world. That's what got this on everyone's radar. But really, Tremonton County commissioners do not have jurisdiction when MITA comes in, the Military Development Committee for the state of Utah, comes in and says this will be built here. So MITA supersedes the authority and power of the Tremonton Commission. And I believe that is to be true to my fullest extent and knowledge of the law. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But MITA has jurisdictional authority over the Tremonton County, Box Elder County commissioners. So when they had this meeting, which the last podcast I did was asking why did this meeting even occur? You're going to give a guy 2 more days to try to understand it. Here's my next question for Kevin O'Leary and his team. If you are so certain that the environmental impact of your proposed data center is going to be so low that it's not going to take a lot of water, it's not going to take too much energy, you're going to provide all the energy, it's not going to dirty our air, why would you not allow Utah leaders to negotiate with you checks along the way? Like, for example, as soon as you get your power plant built, the power plant needs to generate 2 times the amount of power than the entire state of Utah currently uses. Once you get your power plant up and going, can we check the emissions and make sure that that is not dirtying our air so that even more Utahns suffer from bronchitis, asthma, emphysema at record levels in the country? We have some of the dirtiest air in the country, if you're not aware, Mr. O'Leary. So why not allow us to have a check and a balance along the way, and then have another check and a balance with the water you say you're using? So when we examine the data center that's in Georgia, it's using far more water than anyone anticipated. And the cooling operations are extremely taxing on the town's water supply. You're digging down into what's known as the Great Salt Lake Aquifer. Can we have a check along the way after you start digging and start pumping that water out that you aren't in fact lowering the level of the Great Salt Lake? Why can't we have that check in place, and I'm asking this of Governor Cox, before we just green light them and just give them all of our trust? So that's my second question. So with that, I'm going to play the next clip. This is Kevin O'Leary appearing on a podcast. It's called Morning Brew Daily, where he talks about why do we need the biggest AI data center ever? Why do we need these built here in Utah and also in Canada? He's got another one he's working on right now. I'm going to play that clip for you now.
As far back as gold. I mean, I'm an infrastructure investor, so I think AI is going to be huge. We use it in all of our businesses, particularly around translation. But the real opportunity in AI is not just in the software. Here in the U.S., we have a huge problem. In order to just meet the demands of the 7 largest hyperscalers, the Teslas and the Googles and the Microsoft and the Amazons, they have demand for 30 gigawatts of data centers. 30. And we used to build them at 50 megawatts. So that's a fraction of the size. There's only 5 under construction in North America right now. 45% of the data centers in America are in Virginia. But Virginia's just passed a law that does not let you put a backup generator on a data center. A data center today needs to be 5.9, which means it has to be up 99.999% of the time.
I'm giving you a lot of data you'll find interesting. That means it's only down 14 seconds a month. What does it cost to build one of these? $2 billion. Just
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. And I'm going to ask my third question I'd have for Kevin O'Leary is if the backup generators have to be so on point so that they're powering the entire data center. If the power were to go out, then how is that backup generator going to be powered? I mean, and what is the size of just the backup generator? Because the primary generator is going to be clean burning natural gas. You're going to be burning that natural gas, spinning turbines. It's not going to be emitting so much pollution, so you tell us. But then the backup generators are usually diesel. They're probably going to be going on once every month or so, you said in that clip. So what are those going to be like? And if you do turn those on once a month, what do they sound like? What is the environmental impact of the backup generators? I want to finish playing this clip now.
$2 billion for the stacks of chips. $4 billion in the ground for a 1 gigawatt data center. I built those. And we can't get the power. I don't care what state you go to. You go to the power authority there and say, I just want 100 megawatts. Can't do it. We have no power in America right now.
Are you riding maybe the AI hype train at all?
I am, I go back to these trends as far back as gold. I mean, I'm an infrastructure investor, so I think AI is going to be huge. We use it in all of our businesses, particularly around translation. But the real opportunity in AI is not just in the software. Here in the US, we have a huge problem. In order to just meet the demands of the 7 largest hyperscalers, the Teslas and the Googles and the Microsoft and the Amazons, they have demand for 30 gigawatts of data centers. 30. And we used to build them at 50 megawatts. So that's
okay. That clip's repeating. The thing that I wanted to point out here is the hyperscalers that he's pointing out: the Google, the Amazon, Tesla, Microsoft. I can't remember who the other two were. OpenAI. The hyperscalers. So here's what's happening. I feel like our economy in the United States is being absolutely artificially buoyed by these massive tech companies. These massive tech companies are worth trillions of dollars now. They are producing they're producing a larger and greater percentage of our GDP. And now what we are doing as political leaders they are kowtowing and bowing down to these technocrats. And so is that awful that they're booing our economy so much? No, it's not. Not inherently at face value. But here is the problem. Here lies the rub. As our political leaders bow down and kowtow more and more to the hyperscalers, these technocrats, what we are seeing happen is we're seeing a gutting of our traditional communities here in Utah. We're seeing that rather than having the nice middle class like we've always had, where we have a hardware store and we have a little grocery store and a bakery and a butcher, we have big box stores that encompass everything, that are owned by outside Wall Street shareholders. And then you look at the case of Tremonton, Utah. Nice little community, nice little family communities who all know each other, who've known each other probably for generations if they're pioneer towns. And if you have this massive data center come online, what do you think is going to happen to that little community? Obviously, it's going to drastically transform it because you'll now have all these big tech jobs available. And I'm not necessarily saying tech jobs are awful, but what we're seeing on a big, huge scale all over the United States as we try to build as many data centers as we can to compete with China, as he puts there, we're seeing that we are supposed to trade our traditional communities where we have a middle class for a community that bows down to the technocratic industrialist communities, overlords, who essentially will control more and more and more of our sovereignty. And that's what I've been pointing out in Utah and Stories magazine for years now, is if we fill our communities absolutely full of the giant Wall Street corporations, then we gut our middle class, because you simply have the lower class folks who work at the Amazon fulfillment centers, who work in the Walmarts, who work in the call centers, who get very little paid for their work. And then it drives property taxes up if those centers are located near people's homes. And then we see what we have now, unaffordable housing. Obviously, we're dealing with inflation as part of that equation. But my point is, we should be doing things that strengthen the middle class, that make opportunities more available to more Utahns, not opportunities more available to more technocrats. So, Governor Cox, my question for you is, what would you be doing if you're kowtowing to these technocrats to help strengthen Tremonton's middle class economy? What do you propose that you could do to help average Tremonton, northern Utah residents to deal with the unintended consequences of having a data center right in their backyard? So I've got two more clips I'm going to get through. This is a very good report by Brian Malahy from KUTV News. It's really nice to see these senior reporters get on the beat and do some really great reporting. I think Brian Malahy does a great job. I'm going to play that clip for you now.
Of the data center think that it's being rushed, and that is a bad thing. Kevin O'Leary says the data center is being rushed, and that's a good thing. Passion and data center backlash in the arena.
We just feel like we've been blindsided. And
an AI jolt to a woman who lives in the remote reaches of Box Elder County.
Having this come in all of a sudden is just going to change everything.
I'm honored, I'm thrilled.
Kevin O'Leary in a meeting a couple of weeks ago to MIDA, Utah's Military Installation Development Authority.
I must say, and why we've been rushing it so fast, it's a competition. There's other campuses, but we've got the tenants knocking on our door. The whole world knows about this project now.
Last week, I asked Governor Cox this on the data center.
To the concerns that it has been rushed, what do you say?
Well, what I can say again is MIDA has a process that they go through. People have had a chance to provide feedback. This whole idea of being rushed, I'm so tired of our country taking years to get stuff done. It's the dumbest thing ever. We think that taking time makes things better or safer. It absolutely does not. If you can't put this here, then we can't put them anywhere.
O'Leary.
Okay. That is a very revealing answer, I believe, by Governor Cox. If you can't put this thing here, you can't put it anywhere. Really? We live in the second driest state in the entire United States, and Utahns are concerned about our water, which you allocated $40 million of our taxpayer dollars toward protecting. And if we can't put it here, you can't put it anywhere? Really? Come on, Governor Cox, really. You need to answer the question to Utah taxpayers. Why are we giving you $40 million to save the Great Salt Lake if this data center is drilling down into the Great Salt Lake aquifer and taking water from that aquifer to build the largest data center in the entire world? How is that okay, Governor Cox? Seriously, that is a very, very important question Brian Malahy asked at your press conference that I do not believe you sufficiently answered. And so I now want to open it up to questions. I think we've got a couple questions on our live stream. Do you want to tell me, Abby? I can't see it. Could you read the question to me? You got it there on the screen. Just read it to me. You can't see the question there on the screen? There's no question? What on the right-hand side of the screen? Let me get up 1 second. I'm just going to go read it. Okay, I saw the question. The question is, my 9-year-old daughter, Abby, is the producer today, and she's doing an awesome job, but she couldn't find where the text is located. Okay, she's going to read it now. Go ahead.
I thought representatives represented the will
constituency. I thought representatives represented the will of their constituency. I think that's the whole point to this whole story. The idea that our political leaders are working for us and not their political donors, I think has completely gone out the window here. Like, if you ask any, or you were to poll Utahns right now, do you want a data center in Tremonton, Utah? The overwhelming answer would be no. And if we are just missing the critical information that we need to move to a yes, then Governor Cox, it's incumbent upon you to tell us that critical information. And Kevin O'Leary, it's also incumbent upon you to tell us that critical information. We are not the dumb ones. You need to convince us that this data center is more than a method or a means for you to simply be reelected. Is there another question, Abby?
Want me to read it?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that the data centers use so much water for cooling rather than using other cooling methods, especially in water-poor areas.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that the data centers are using so much water to cool in such a water-poor area. That's exactly my point. There are 48 states in the continental United States, and 46 of them get more water than Utah annually. We are the second driest state in the country, in the continental United States. I think what probably is attractive to O'Leary and his financiers to Utah is the fact that we do have a very strong tech hub here. We have very qualified workforce here. That's why we have Silicon Slopes, and that's why so much of Silicon Valley has invested in Utah. We have an amazing workforce. And I think the point here is that when you are talking about something that's going to be resource intensive, it's incumbent upon you to convince us that we're going to have enough water and that you're not going to just dry out our lake. And so with that, I want to point out something. What I was told by Governor Cox into why we need to have this, why we need to save the Great Salt Lake, Governor Cox's words, not mine, were that we have arsenic in the lake bed. When we have high wind, that arsenic goes into our airshed. Then we breathe in that arsenic and it causes cancer. We can't all be getting cancer because we want to have a data center. That's the key point here. We are not willing to sacrifice our health, our well-being, our water, our kids' health, their well-being, and their water for the technocrats. We really are not. And that's why we're so upset about this. And I cannot answer the phone right now, Golda. My wife is calling me. I cannot answer the phone. I'm going to finish up. But I think there's one more question I want to answer. Go ahead, Abby.
There's actually two.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first one is our politic leaders are not working for the Utah citizens.
Correct.
Cox and we are a disgrace.
Yeah, our political leaders are not working for the Utah citizens. They are absolutely a disgrace. I agree. Unless Governor Cox and Kevin O'Leary want to hold a joint town hall meeting, Utah Stories would be absolutely willing to sponsor that town hall where you can show up and you can be listened to and they can answer or address your questions. Unless they do something like that, I 100% agree. So with that said, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Abby, for your help. I'd love to get more of your comments, your questions, but mostly more than anything else, I think this goes into a lot of depth and it asks the questions that more of our local media should be asking, more of our national media should be asking. I would love to hear Governor Cox and Kevin O'Leary's answers to the questions that I've asked on this program today. So please share this with some friends. Please share this with everybody you know. Like, subscribe to this channel, and also consider going out to utahstories.com. Subscribe to our free digital newsletter. We will send you the voices of local Utah once a week. We love capturing the voices of the people and sharing them with you through authentic local journalism. That's what we've been doing for 17 years in print. So be a part of the community, utahstories.com, and subscribe to either our membership or our subscriber-based membership. that gets you all access to the portal so you can see all of our content. With that, thank you so much for watching. This has been Richard Markosian.